How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Heyday. Feeling stressed? Take a moment for yourself with Heyday. Stroll through rows of golden wheat, tend to cute barnyard animals, and discover the joys of a digital farm retreat. You don't have to hop in a car or catch a plane. Escape to the farm at the tap of a finger. With Heyday, you're not just tending to a farm, you're tending to yourself. Heyday. Search Heyday, that's Hay space DAY, in your favorite app store. Heyday is a free-to-play mobile game and offers optional in-app purchases and random rewards.
Hello and welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of the 10th Divine Podcast. The show connects fans and players of the Elder Scrolls games to the community. And I'm your host, Crown ESO. And I'm here with Icy as my amazing guest. And how are you doing this week, Icy?
I am not too bad, thank you. It's a nominally relaxing week here in Australia, or at least in the state of New South Wales where I live. It's school holidays. So, and I'm on a public holiday right now, so we have time to do this, which is excellent.
Yes, and thank you so much. I'm actually really appreciate how well our time zones worked out. So what are some things you've been getting up to in game recently, Icy?
So, well, apart from the multiple Jesters, then Jubilee events, and all of the things associated with that, I've been doing, unsurprisingly, a lot of housing stuff. So I've been on the public test server, going through and looking at all of the new furnishings and the new housing, making some videos around that, and just checking, looking to see what I'm planning to collect when that goes on live. And on the live server, I've been doing lots of dungeons, building houses, just sort of your normal everyday ESO fun, pretty much.
Any new achievements or quests that you've done this week that you wanted to talk about?
So, kind of, maybe not new, but maybe redoing old. So with the new subclassing system that's coming with update 46, I'm going to need a lot more skill points on the warden character I've been playing at the moment. Because, they just had skills leveled and that was about it. So I've actually been going through and doing a lot of the old zone quests.
Nice.
And I'm starting in the Daggerfall Covenant with the idea of I actually get to meet Prince Azar again, because I've not really chatted with him for years, really. I've done the whole zone main quest twice, once initially,
Nice.
and then once maybe a couple of years after that, but it's 7 years since I've last done that. So yeah, I want to...
When I myself started getting into the greater community of ESO and communicating with people, I had this running joke going for a while that I was the 5-year side quest, because I've been playing actively for 5 years and still hadn't done the main quest line.
Yeah, definitely the time to do the original main quest as well, just to catch, work out what the story is and what's going on with Molag Bal, and all of those kind of things, and you get extra skill points for doing that as well. So
Yes, it was funny. I just did a quest line I just finally finished the Mages Guild on my main character, and I didn't realize till I got to the end that the decision at the end was a decision that Lotus had just talked about actually on Tales of Tamriel, because if you choose the good option, you don't really get rewarded.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you choose the bad option, you get 2 skill points out of it. And as soon as I got to the option, I was like, oh, this is the thing he was just talking about. And then I was
There's some significant bits going on in that storyline. It's excellent.
You did mention that you like housing. You did mention you've been doing the questing. And
yes.
I know I've been a part of your community for quite some time. So you've been playing ESO for a long time. But what brought you into Elder Scrolls Online? And did you ever play any of the main story games?
Oh, yeah. So my first sort of I first came to the Elder Scrolls with the original Morrowind. That was the game for me. I spent so much time being in this strange world with mushrooms and different people and strange quests and so much dense lore. Like, there was so much to discover and so much to explore, and I loved it. I absolutely hooked. Morrowind, just peak gaming experience for me. And then went and played Oblivion as well, the original Oblivion. And I remember thinking at the time, oh, I was weirdly a bit disappointed because it felt very traditional fantasy, and that hadn't been Morrowind. Morrowind had been strange and alien and unusual, and I loved it. And then it felt a bit conventional in Oblivion. But the story of Oblivion is so good, and the voice acting, and just, I still like get chills thinking about Martin's story, like even 20 years later. So absolutely loved Oblivion, and then very much enjoyed Skyrim, but I actually enjoyed Oblivion more. Oblivion was much more, yeah, I just thought it was a better game, but still had, like 1,000 hours in Skyrim over 2 characters. I mean, we're, still talking way into the weeds.
Myself,
And then,
same thing.
yeah.
I felt with Skyrim though, like I have a different relationship with Skyrim because it came out, or like I got a hold of my copy right when I had injured myself and was on like duty at work.
Ah, yeah, okay.
And I
Yeah,
work
fair enough.
construction. So then they're like,
Yep.
here, do office work. And apparently, if you have nothing else to do because you're not in the office all day, our office work you can get done in like 20 minutes for the whole
Oh, okay,
day.
fair enough.
And I'm
Okay.
like, after I got to I used to smoke then, so it was like I was up to 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I'm like, okay, this has got to change.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
one day I show up to work and I throw a big duffel bag in the back seat, and the boss looks at me and goes, "What's that?" I said, "It's an Xbox, a monitor, and some speakers." And he goes, "Well, you can't do that at work." It's like, it's either I do that or start smoking your cigarettes. And he goes, "You know what? You could do that at work."
Yep. Something to do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a good
no,
one.
that's a great way to do it. Yeah, no, I remember I was on maternity leave, I think, when Skyrim came out. Must have been. I remember going to get the collector's edition, which I still have the dragon and the sort of the mountain that the dragon sits on. And I've still got all
Nice.
my original Morrowind boxes and Oblivion boxes, and I've still got the original Oblivion coin that came in the box and the maps.
That's
Got
so
all the
cool. I
all the
know
bits.
Lotus cries a little bit that we don't get boxes anymore.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. It is a bit sad that way. So it's all digital these days, but yeah, no, I've got those and I'm hanging on to them. So they're all just right there in the cupboard behind me. And then I remember, I guess, oh, it must have been, I suppose 12 years ago approximately, that I heard a rumor that we're going to do a multiplayer Elder Scrolls game. And I was like, there's no way they do that. Oh, could you imagine? But there's no way they would. That's just, no, that can't be real.
I
Secretly
also
hoping,
remember doing that.
is that real? Is that real? And then it turned out that it was. I got in on the second beta test, and I was hooked forever. So, and 11 years later, 11 and a bit years later, still here.
So, which of the games is
And
like
all the
your favorite?
Oh, so I think I have to say Oblivion. Oblivion. The reason I say that over Morrowind is there's some funkiness in Morrowind, like that's just kind of like there's some
The never hit
real,
flesh.
yeah. It's really hard to put it between the two. Actually, sorry, honestly, Elder Scrolls Online. But if we're talking about the original games, I would say I can't really decide between Oblivion and Morrowind. The problem is you can't really go back and play Morrowind without completely changing it to an utterly new game because it's just too old these days.
Yeah.
You can, and I did before Blackwood for ESO came out, you can go back and play Oblivion. You can still, it's still, and obviously they've re-released it, so I'm going to go back real soon and play it anyway. But
I was going to ask if you had
still do
plans
it.
to get into it.
Oh, yes. So thanks to Bethesda ANZ, they've given me a code for Oblivion.
Nice.
And I am going to play the heck out of that game. I'm waiting to play it at first on stream, so do it with, that'll be tomorrow basically. Sort of started out, make a new character, do the whole things, and it's like, oh, I cannot wait. I absolutely cannot wait. I'm just really extremely hyped. But yeah, I'm so going to play the heck out of that.
So I had seen like the announcement picture about the live stream, and then they're like, and then I don't know, I blanked on what time that meant for my time zone. I saw other people had gone live with, hey, we're watching this. And I was like, oh, that's a thing right now. And I jumped on a couple minutes into it. And even though my internet was like lagging and it was kind of skipping in the opening scenes for the reveal, I watched the transition where they shifted from old Uriel Septim to the remake version while he's doing his "You're the one from my dreams" little speech. And I just like melted. I was like teary-eyed. This is so beautiful. And
so excited. Yep.
My wife actually went online, logged into my Microsoft account, and purchased it before he announced it was available for release. She's like, hey, did you get an email? I checked my email. I'm like, you bought that for me? She's like, you were crying. I figured you needed that. I was like,
Oh, that's
thank
so
you.
lovely.
And then he's like, and it's available now. It's like, it was available a couple minutes ago, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's best partner ever.
She is fantastic. Earlier you mentioned you're working on a warden. Is that your original tune, or is that a new one that you're running?
No, it is kind of both. It's definitely not the original tune. So my original character is still played all of the time, but only for crafting and questing and housing. So my original character is a Nightblade, and I have honestly never
Really is the
actually
best class.
been able to Nightblade. I am unable to produce damage. It just doesn't work. I can't
There's an
do
adage
the
of
end game stuff. It's for me. I realize lots of people can, but for me, it just doesn't work. However, she is fully sneaked. She's vampire. She can just do anything sneaky. She just can run faster in stealth than a different character can
What's her
sprint.
race?
And it's like dark elf.
So
Because I
there's
always
this-
played a dark elf in the earlier games. So
That
of
makes
course I had
sense.
to be a dark elf for the first ESO character. So,
myself, Argonian, same thing. My main is an Argonian. And there's this adage I see in this like staple of commentary of like, oh, I'm new to ESO. What class should I play? And most everyone goes, not Nightblade. Start with something else. And then I laugh because that was my first class. That was my wife's first class. 2 out of 3 of my kids picked Nightblade as their first class.
yeah.
And so just like,
Yeah.
apparently we like
I
punishing
certainly-
ourselves.
Yeah, I certainly don't recommend a Nightblade if people ask. So, what's a good first class? But yeah, so I am bad at Nightblading. I know lots of people are good at it, but I just can't. So right now I'm playing a warden who was originally spun up as a Redguard warden for PvP 7 or 8 years ago, and then didn't really get used that much and has been sitting neglected in my list of characters for about, up until 6 months ago or less. And then I already had a warden that I was playing a lot with, and then I kind of wanted like a slightly different variation. In fact, what I really wanted to do was I wanted to make a tiny cute wood elf because I had no wood elf characters at all. And I'm like, I do not want to spin up a new character because
Nice.
I actually hate creating and leveling new characters. I loathe it. I don't know why, but I really resent having to do
can
that.
be taxing.
It's just like, oh no, no, thank you. So I had a class character token left over, I think from
Gotcha.
elsewhere.
have, like, 4 because of
Not a class
elsewhere.
one, a race, like a change race, change appearance one. So I was like, oh, well, why don't I just take this unused, neglected warden
Yeah.
and make them a new quote marks character.
Nice.
So I did that, and I've been having an absolute blast. So she's the teeniest, tiniest little wood elf, and I wanted to make a fairy basically for some reason. There's not enough wing costumes in ESO. I'm just putting that out there in case anybody's listening. We could do some more wings, butterfly wings. Be
Nice.
very appropriate for Sheogorath. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we end up with
Well, I
cheese
made
wings
this-
now.
Oh no. Oh, I'm sure people would love it. They'd adore it. Why there isn't a cheese hat? Something like the Wisconsin cheese thingy. I don't know, but just there's a suggestion.
At what point in being a player did you transition to content creation and streaming?
It must have been about 6 or 7 years ago, I think, was when I first started doing YouTube videos. And I was doing a lot of PvP at the time. I was in a PvP guild on EP, and we did like sort of lots and lots of stuff, and we were very effective. And I wanted to start making videos, basically showing somebody who was, older. Though I'm a lot older now. Was enjoying playing games that you didn't need to be, like a 22-year-old guy, that you could be. I think at the time okay, so I would have been, let's say 45, I guess, ish. No, younger, 42-ish, something like that. That you could be, a mature person with a full, like career and all the rest of it, and still just love playing computer games. That was the kind of the initial sort of reason. And then it kind of went from there. Yeah, to start with, I just streamed on YouTube, and then streamed on YouTube and Twitch. And honestly, it's just, at the time, it was just easier to switch all the way over to Twitch. But the YouTube channel is still there. And I publish at least every content release. I'll do a series of videos, mostly about the new housing features or new furnishings, but sometimes about other things that are coming as well. So
That's cool. So I also know from following you on different socials and stuff that you also do like photography.
I have. Yes, it's one of those things, right? Where it's like, I really enjoy framing things. I really enjoy like taking something and making it so that the lines and the angles and the way it sits within a frame or a square or within a space makes pleasing feelings within my brain, if that's a way to describe it. And photography is one way of doing that. And I have done a bunch. It's completely amateur. It's just me, usually at the moment, really just using a mobile phone camera, just taking pictures of something interesting.
I will say though, everything starts as amateur.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no. And I at some points have thought, oh, do I really want to do this? And I do have a nice camera, which I'm using right now for streaming. And it's not to say that in a couple of years I might not get back into it more, but it's very much, it's a hobby that's kind of sort of parked right now, parked a little bit. But yeah, I do really enjoy it, especially, I guess, sort of landscape and architecture type of photos.
I've seen some of your architecture stuff and thought it was like captured the object or the structure really well, and I really enjoy going through the
I really
photography.
appreciate that.
So
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
do you think streaming and content creation is influenced by your photography or vice versa at all? Or has it helped you? Like you said, you like framing. So does it help you make your thumbnails?
So it's not that. It absolutely plays into the ESO housing though.
Yeah.
100%. Oh, yes. Oh yeah, it is absolutely. So, and the photography type stuff and the editing of photos, it is the same part of my brain that I am using when I am doing ESO housing. Like I
Nice.
am absolutely going, oh, this door. If I move this door 10 centimeters to the right, it'll actually line up straight through the center of this corridor to the door that's at the other side, which will add this very pleasing aspect as you walk through this property. The things I like would look for in photography, architecture, framing, that is absolutely something that then goes back into the ESO housing stuff as well. Yeah. It's absolutely essential to it. So
Did you do housing in other games, or is ESO the first place where you really like flourished with that?
Yes, and in Morrowind, honestly, Morrowind, and then Oblivion and Skyrim for that matter. So way back, and I don't know if you remember this quest or the people listening, in the original Morrowind, as you did the the Redoran quest line or the Lalu quest line or the Telvanni quest line, part of it was you can resurrect like a small village, like a small outpost. Those quests were the best thing in the game. There, I absolutely adored going off and recruiting people to live in the village, and you got like your own house, and you could pick up things and decorate the house and move things around. And I got into it seriously at that point.
I
That
didn't
was the
even know
thing
that
that
was a
first got me.
quest. I've never even played Morrowind, so I don't.
Oh, okay, okay. They are so good. Like those quests are outstanding. You recruit people to live
Sounds really
there, and then
cool.
they're like, they're lonely, and it's like, okay, let me go see if I can find you a wife.
Matchmaker
Fabulous.
Express.
So good. So those quests I adored. And then getting a house and then being able to decorate it in there, just wonderful. And then that was the first thing that made me want to look into mods, because there were a number of incredibly talented people who basically constructed buildings that you could drop into Morrowind as a mod.
Yeah.
And there was one that's down. I'm going to describe this mod to you. It's down near Vivek City, just before you come in, approximately actually a little bit up from where the current Elder Scrolls like construction sites are outside of Vivek, a bit up from there. And
Okay.
it's this perfect Japanese styled little tiny building, like tiny little house, dojo, incredibly gorgeous garden, beautiful cherry blossoms over a pond with a bridge, plenty of storage in the attic, and then like some tunnel systems underneath. And somebody
That sounds
built
cool.
all of this. And it's just, I I can see it in my head right now. This, and I, for that matter, still have the files for that mod stored
Nice.
in my systems somewhere. Um, and that's the thing I think that initially got me into like housing. Like I realized then that this is something that I absolutely adore doing.
That's
Same
cool.
happened in Oblivion. My main house was in Shaden Hall, and at
I don't
all
even
of the
remember really
interiors were
housing
way
in
too dark.
Oblivion.
Oh
Was I
yeah,
just
yeah.
oblivious
There's
to that?
like well, this is the thing. It's like unless that's something that you're looking for, then maybe you don't see it. But yeah, no, I absolutely knew that I was going to be doing that. So there's like a house, I think, in each of the major towns you can buy of varying sorts of.
Oh
There's
yes,
like
yes.
a little wooden shack in one of them, and there's different. I think in the docks outside
As
of
soon as you say
the
buy the
Imperial
house,
City.
then my brain was like click.
But yeah, this is like the interior of the houses are all terribly, terribly dark. And so once again, I'm delving into like the creation system to see if I can work out, oh, how can I make this brighter? And it's like, well, okay, there's some, people have done mods for glowing fruit, for example. So you can add like interior lights by putting fruit in bowls and just doing all this sort of stuff and
Okay.
getting amazingly frustrated at the weird physics things. So when you put something on a table,
I,
everything
I could
jumps and
just
falls better to
imagine.
the floor. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, at least we
So
don't
yeah,
have
so
weird
that was
physics in ESO. Well,
that's true.
less
The
weird.
the housing in ESO is amazing in interesting ways. So
My daughter
uh,
has just started getting into housing, because they got that desert house for free. So she's like, "Oh,
oh
I have
yes,
an actual house now. I can like put things in it."
and a
And
big one.
and a big one. So right now she has it set up so she shoved as many mounts as she could into it, and currently they run around the sky as gods for her to worship or something, I think she said. Because they don't need ground. They can just be
to start. Yep.
set up
They can be
wherever.
floating. And this is, and that's the big, I think that's the big difference between one of the, I mean, I don't have a lot of experience in other housing systems in other games, apart from mostly ESO. I've dabbled in Starfield, No Man's Sky, and a couple of others. But the big thing about ESO is the ability to place an object anywhere. It does not need to be snapped to the ground. It could be placed in halfway inside the ground. It could be placed halfway inside other things. Yeah, so you can layer things. So you can, and I mean, if we're talking about ESO housing, you can, the ability of players to cobble things together to take, say, for example, I don't know if the Markarth gold doors. But if you set it just inside the wall, only the edges of the decoration poke through. So it makes the most amazing kind of Art Deco vibed sort of decoration. And there's just some amazing things that players can do.
I've seen some crazy stuff that people have done, especially on PC, and it's like I made a lamp not fall through a tree, so like I'm doing good.
Yep.
Okay, so
Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
this is the part of the show where I'm going to tell you guys we're part of Robots Radio Rocket Club. You can find the show and lots of other great shows by checking out the directory at robotsradio.net. And of course, you can also go check out a host of MMO-focused podcasts, such as Girls Gone WoW, A Podcast Reborn, or For Azeroth over with our friends at thebonusroll.gg, and that little network as well.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
You can always start ESO decorating. I think the best place to start, in my estimation, is making a garden. Because you don't need any mats. You don't need any furnishing plans. All you need is a bit of gold and a house. All of the in-game vendors sell some sort of plant. There are some incredibly beautiful ones. And so you can actually go in and make something very pleasing and beautiful and somewhere really nice to be for just some time and gold. And then if that's your vibe, at that point, you can go, all right, yep, no, I need to go off and get all the finishing plans and start farming for mats and then sort of really get into it. But yeah, I think there's lots of good spots. And then the next level is I've got this very lovely house and I'm going to decorate this house like I lived here.
Yeah.
The character lives here. And then, if you put food on the table and you can set the table and you can make sure the lighting's nice and then you can, you choose the kind of bed that you want for them to have. And then the next level is, okay, so the in-game furnishings and stuff, they're good, but I would love it if I had a different type of couch. Oh, so if I combine, what if I took, for example, the Khajiit cushions and put them sideways and then added those to the Khajiit bench, and then I can actually make a bench with a back. Does that work? And then you start sort of accumulating things and matching and mixing and matching things together.
My wife got into housing for a smidgen, but of all the things that was like, I'm gonna take some time and merge things and make my own thing, was so she could make a toilet for her bathroom.
Yes. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, that's right. And there's a couple of furnishings that we'll use, often there's like a great Argonian basket that if you turn it upside down, actually kind of looks like a toilet lid. There's a few bits and pieces that work really well. And people who do a lot of housing are always looking at different objects to kind of go, oh, how would that work in a house? If I turn this upside down and rotated it through 45 degrees, oh, the circle on the outside of that, that's like, oh, would that work? A good one are the some of the grief, I think they're grief cups, which are white and they've sort of got ridges on them. But if you turn them
Okay.
sideways, they make a roll of toilet paper.
Oh,
So there's a few
that's
there's a
awesome.
few funny ones that people
Yeah.
use. So
So, if we were gonna get into like helping people get started into housing, how do people go about getting the stuff? Like, where are the places to go?
yeah, absolutely. So you've got a couple of options. So as I said, there are in-game vendors who sell some limited ranges of furnishings and a lot of plants and rocks and that kind of thing, which is why I say start with the garden. So you can get a feel, is this for me, before you put a lot of time and effort into it. So if you said, yes, this is my jam, I'm absolutely doing this. The next thing is gold. Save your gold is really expensive. You'll find as you play, you'll have enough. But gold is good. So finishing plants drop from the world, doing looting containers, doing quests. Actually, not doing quests, but mostly looting containers, looting mobs. So loot all of the things. You're probably doing that
Be a loot
already.
goblin.
Learn all of
Start
the
them.
finishing plans. Yep. So just eat all of the finishing plans you can.
I also
Structural finishing
remember.
plans. Sorry. Yep.
I also remember we made the comment about gold. I remember at one point also being like, "Oh man, I wish I had pets." Now I wish I had
Yep.
more character slots so I could have enough for all my pets.
Yes. Yes. Too many pets. Too many pets. Too many mounts. And yeah, none of them really get used. So, but I do use. Actually, no, I lie. I don't use all of my houses. At some point, one day, I'll use all of my houses. But so,
I like that
but I use.
the random mount thing. I've got
Yeah,
that
that's
set
really
up
cool.
for my main character, so every time I get on a mount, I have a different one. So I'll
Yeah,
eventually cycle through them all now.
yeah. No, that's great. I really think that one's an incredible addition. That and the ability to favorite things, I think, is really fabulous. So, yeah, you can find the ones that you want to rotate through. But so yeah, loot all of the things, learn all of the finishing plans. Guild traders buy the finishing plans off other people is another thing to do. It can get pricey, but a lot of players will sell like the blue quality and green quality finishing plans for like say under 1,000 gold, depending on what it is. So events like the Jubilee event that's just gone, pretty much most like you would have if you'd been doing writs, you would have been getting like 4 or 5 blue quality finishing plans every time you did your writs,
Yeah.
eating all of those. Structural furnishings are only farmable from a series of the daily quests for zones, starting from Western Skyrim. So the Western Skyrim
Okay.
dailies onwards have their own structural finishing plans that drop. So that's where you get your walls and your floors and your platforms and windows and anything you would use to build a structure.
I
You
didn't
can
even know
buy
that
those
they
off other.
separated it like that.
Yep. So I have just finished. I had to buy the last bits. Just finished farming the structural finishing plans that were from the Westfield dailies. So there's also there's so it's each of the chapters and also the story zones in Fargrave. One other that's not coming to me right now. UESP will have where you can farm those structural finishing plans from, or just come ask me in stream, and I will probably know. So, but yeah,
I applaud you
and
for being able
then
to remember that.
it's all about the housing, really all about the housing. The other thing I would say is to give you more flexibility is achievements will unlock various furnishings. So there's a lot of dungeon achievements. And then the dungeon achievement furnishing vendor is down near the Undaunted locations. There are world achievement furnishings you can purchase, and they are in your alliance's capital city, probably somewhere near the bank. The ones in Deshaan are sort of underneath on the floor underneath the banker, and they've got things from, say, the Justice Festival furnishings. They've got there's a cool fishing boat you can buy if you've got the fishing boat achievement. They've got replica sky shards. There's all sorts of really cool stuff that you can buy. They are a lot more expensive. We're kind of talking in the it ranges in prices, but prices will go up to 100,000 gold for some of the really fanciest ones.
And then
So
on console, I know the market's a little bit different, usually on the lower end, but I'm curious to see if that'll change once we get add-ons to the newer consoles.
yes, that will be really interesting to see if that changes. So one of the reasons, I mean, certainly there are a number of market add-ons, so like on PC, so ones that allow you to see what's the going price for this. So so market prices will go up because people do that. In addition, there are add-ons that let you automatically do your writs, which means that you're more likely to do them, on multiple characters. So you're more likely to have more money, which then drives prices up overall as well. So that might change as if you get those particular add-ons coming to console with after update 46, because the API will be released for testing. So I don't know when the updates are actually going to be
it's going to be curious
add-ons
too.
actually arrive.
This is the first thing that they've stipulated will only be for the newer generation of consoles and not the PS4 and the Xbox One. So until it's fully phased out, that'll also skew the economy too, because only
it could skew the economy. Yes.
Part of the groupings will be able to see things, but not everybody if we have those types of add-ons. So that's kind of interesting. I know Lotus is like, well, if nothing changes in our economy, then we can't blame add-ons on PC, so we have to blame something else. But
no, that's true. Yeah, it certainly makes it easier to make money, I think, having add-ons on PC. So not that I'm all about the making money. I am making the money so I don't feel guilty about spending gold on housing stuff. I'm not like using money as like a win scenario for me personally. It's just
this sounds like real life though.
Yeah.
I need to be able to justify the spending, so I got to make it first.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. That's exactly it. I don't want to have to scrimp and save when it comes to the housing stuff. Not that I spend that much. I'm very frugal in game. I only really buy it if I absolutely have to, but it's nice to not have to worry about it. And so the other main source of cool furnishings is from antiquities. So there are both a whole range of actual fancy furnishings that you will get leads for as you do things around the world. Mostly it's just, most of them are just do stuff and you will get the lead, as opposed to being locked behind, a particular kind of combat or killing a particular boss or anything. It's mostly just, I randomly got this lead. And they're really cool and you dig those up. And then the other one, which has been introduced from the last update, is if in a couple of zones. So right now we're talking basically Ayleid zones. So Blackwood, the Gold Coast, Westweald, and I want to say one other. If you continue digging the antiquity, so if you excavate basically all of the additional things you can get apart from the antiquity itself, sometimes one of those additional things you dig up will actually be a furnishing plan for an Ayleid structure. When we get to update 46, you'll be able to fully excavate areas in Solstice and you'll get Tideborn Argonian structures. Mostly they're statues and things. They're not platforms and walls in the same way that the Ayleid ones are. So.
Oh, gotcha. Didn't even know they added that into the...
Yeah, the Housingmancers keep an eye on it. But yeah, it's not everybody's aware of it. So in those particular zones, yeah, it's worth digging up the whole, continue to dig once you've actually excavated your main thing.
I'm curious, where do you think the term Housingmancer came from?
I don't know. It sort of evolved, I think. I mean, we have necromancers and then it just kind of... Housingmancer just kind of evolved from that, I think. Are we undead? Are we raising the dead to really just build houses? I mean, kind of. It's like
You mentioned some of the add-ons. Which ones do you hope the console people are going to get?
Okay. So I mean, I absolutely play on PC, but there are a lot of people who hang out on my stream that I know who are on console. So things I think that take a pain point and smooth it over, I think are the most important add-ons that should go first. So I would say map pins. So there's
God.
various map ones which just show things on the map
Yeah.
before you get there. You can turn it on or off. You don't need to use it as an add-on, but I think that one's a really great one. And including in that things like treasure maps and lore books, having those marked is fantastic. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people would want the like nodes to show up on maps as well. You know, like mundane, like rune nodes and blacksmithing nodes, that kind of thing. Yes, sure. For me, that's not the most important thing. Just the treasure maps and survey maps,
Yeah.
and showing locations so I know
Like,
where
I
I'm
know
going.
that's one thing, like treasure maps and survey maps. Actually, I got to the point where even though I have an app that I sit with and it takes me to the spot, I actually started recording myself going to the spots, because even when you look on those maps, sometimes it's not quite where you think it's supposed to be, or even
Yeah.
when they add dungeons and stuff, they actually make micro changes to the environment. So
Yep.
there's one in survey, a different dungeon, or they moved something, and I watched somebody else's video, and I'm looking at mine, I'm like, there's like a whole new building here. And so the whole survey had been moved like 90 feet
Yep.
to the right to make room for this new door.
Yep.
And it was like, oh, well, there it is.
So I think that's the absolute main one. And then the next one that I think is just so good is the Dog Bloon's Lazy Writ Crafter, because it just saves so much time. Now you can they've added a whole bunch of things as part of the base game which have made doing things like writs easier.
Yeah.
Or it says, oh, like there's an actual
Quest
arrow
only.
next to you, click this box, click this box, click this box to create the thing, and that's great, and that's certainly good. But the Lazy Writ Crafter is customized to the extent where you go to a crafting board and you click the crafting board, it picks up all the quests for you and leaves the crafting board. You click on the next one, it picks them up. And then you just go to each of the crafting stations and click. It processes the thing and then leaves again. It doesn't do food or alchemy, but they're easy because you can just pre-craft a whole stack of those, basically the same way you would on console, I'm assuming. And then they're in the bank. And then if you have a banker and you talk to the banker, it will automatically withdraw what it needs from the banker.
Oh,
So, and then
that's cool.
you can just click on the actual turn in boxes, and that's it. It can do stuff like it will automatically open all of the containers that you get as the reward. So I'd say those two are the ones I would say above and beyond anything else. Then after that, there's a whole heap of other ones that I use that I find extremely useful, that I would miss if they weren't there. But it's those two. For example, if I needed to play temporarily on a laptop or something, if I was going on holidays or something, because of course I play ESO every day in going on holidays. I've got to do my writs.
Yeah.
I would install the Lazy Writ Crafter, and maybe the map one as well.
So what about for housing specifically?
So housing's an interesting one. So there's really I was going to say there's really only one add-on for housing, and there is for housing, but you don't really need it unless you are going fully Housingmancering. I think the more useful one for Housingmancers in general is actually some sort of one of the various inventory ones, so you know where all of your furnishings are. So that you can look at a furnishing and go, oh, I've got 3 in this house, and I've got 2 in this house, and I've got 1 stored in the bank, and then there's 6 stored in a storage box. So I know I would like to move the one from the bank and put it in the storage box until I'm ready. That, I think, is the kind of add-on, and I can't even tell you the name. There's a number that do that. That's the sort of add-on that's truly and genuinely helpful. So the main housing add-on, though, is called, I think one of the ones is Deco Track, I think is one of the add-ons that will do that job. But there's a couple. Inventory Insight is another one, and that will just do all of your things in any inventory anyway. So probably I'd recommend Inventory Insight over anything. You can keep track of where things are. So the main housing add-on though is called Essential Housing Tools and Essential
Aptly
Housing
named.
Communities. Both of those were written by a couple of people, but the main dev of that is Cardinal, who now works for ESO doing housing.
Nice.
So one of the main housing devs for ESO is really part of the ESO housing community, which is fantastic because he really knows where the pain points are and what we want. And in fact, a number of features that were initially in the essential housing tools have since made their way into the base game. Precision editing in housing is one of those things where previously there was like a munged way to do it in essential housing tools where you could basically tell the object to move 1 centimeter left or right. That functionality is still in there, but precision editing, which is base game, is so good, and it lets you do all sorts of extraordinarily creative and clever things. But the essential housing tools will do some other things, which I hope they add that as functionality to base game because it really does allow you to be particularly flexible. There's an option that lets you copy and paste existing furnishings you've got. So you can actually go in and say, oh, I really like this arrangement of table and chairs I've got here, and I want to use that, in several different places because I'm setting up, I don't know, a cafe, for example. So you can select, the 2 chairs, the table, the knives and forks, and the plate that's on the table. You can copy all of those things, and then you can paste that arrangement of furnishings back into the world, either in a new location or over top, like in place on top of the existing stuff. And
I think I've seen you use this before. Yes.
Yeah, it's extraordinarily powerful.
That sounds
and allows
like
you to
fantastic.
It's really fabulous. It's super helpful. It's not the easiest to use. Takes a little bit to get used to the kind of the interface, so to speak. But it's great. It's really, really good. I think as an add-on, this one, like the essential housing tools, would be really hard to put into console. Like you would need to do a lot of work in just completely changing the interface itself so it would actually work with the controller, I think so. But who knows?
If there's a will.
That's right. If there's a will, and I'm sure if there's any super interested, Housingmancer console users out there who really do want to port it, I'm sure people would be delighted to help test it as well. So,
You know what's funny about that? I was
Yeah.
when I was messaging you on Discord today, I was gonna say, hey, do you know anybody who's doing housing lots on console? So I could talk to them about like their struggles in console.
I do.
I didn't message you it because I was like, oh, I'm just gonna focus on talking to Icy. And then
I'll let you know. I'll give you some names after. Absolutely.
So-
And I know somebody who can then, if you want, point you, even if they're not comfortable, they will know somebody else who can sort of spread out and give you a whole bunch
I
of
would
contacts.
appreciate that. But then I laughed because in the guild that I've been helping do invites for on Xbox right now, this guy that just joined the guild, he's like, hey, my main house is set up as a guild house hall, but nobody's using it right now. So like if you guys need that, I see your guys' house is marked as being under construction like 9 months ago. So if you want, you can use this. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And then we get talking in Discord. He's like, yeah, if you don't like that one, I got like 6 others I've got fully furnished and ready to go. And I'm like, I'll be talking to you later.
Yeah, housing community on console is really big. So so the person I know is on PlayStation, but they do amazing work, and it's so in awe because I've got shortcuts. I mean, I'm a PC player, so that by definition, if I'm using add-ons, and I sure am, I'm running with shortcuts. I'm running things that make my life in the game easier, including in combat, but in housing, absolutely. And they're doing it by hand, by eye,
I
by
remember
controller. So
when Jibs and Cash did the original Lore Seekers podcast, I remember Cash being like, I don't understand where anybody gets off saying it's a PC master race. These people are making the same scoreboards on console without things telling them when to dodge.
yeah,
Right?
exactly. No, that's right. And I am well aware that I do fine, even better than fine in a lot of combat stuff, but a lot of it is because there's something in there that's binging that tells me to dodge. So yeah.
I've never been an add-on guy. My kids that have recently broken me, and I've let them get free add-ons for their Minecraft playthroughs. They're like, look at this poison potato mod, Dad. I can make everything out of poison potatoes. I'm like, what? Yeah, everything. Like, literally everything. And I'm like, I don't like this because everything's just green potato now.
Challenge them to make their own. It starts the slippery slope of being a game developer, I think, really.
You know what? I think my 12-year-old would like that if I were to hand him over. Once I get the PC setup all cleaned up and I can let go of the old one completely. So is there any other points you want to touch on about housing?
Well, I think it just as Housingmancers in general, we really appreciate how much we can do in ESO, that the devs have really given us so many cool tools to play with, and so many cool furnishings. There's just some of the houses just so gorgeous. I hope that the devs have fun as well. You know, the devs who are building, for example, the Theatre of the Ancients, which is one of the new crown houses that's currently available to preview on the test server. It looks like Meridia's Realm. It's just the colored rooms of Meridia's Realm. It's just, the sky is incredible. So I hope that they have just as much fun building these amazing places as
Some
we
of the
do
houses are
actually
crazy.
decorating them. So yeah, they're just stunning. So I'm just really, really looking forward to the new content and the new zone, and just truly the new Bismuth Steam Baths house that is the kind of the zone house that you can unlock for gold. Oh, it's so nice. It's a house by the beach with a pool and then steam baths. And I mean, what else could you ask for? Really, what else could you ask for?
Sounds pretty
Oh,
good.
wait. Actually, I do have one other point, and this is really for people who are going, oh, sure, that sounds great, but everything's so expensive. I'd point out that the Zenithars festival is coming at the end of June, and I don't know when this is coming out, this particular episode, but if it's before the end of June, everything that's available to buy from an in-game vendor, so this is not guild traders, but an in-game vendor is 10% less. So your 1.2 million house is 10% less. All of your really expensive achievement furnishings, 10% less. It is the best time to stock up on whatever you can afford, because you are absolutely saving money. And
How did
if
I not know that
you're-
was a thing for that event?
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I absolutely ruin my inventory every year. It's completely trashed, and I spend so much money. But I think I mentioned this earlier, frugal, cheap. So that 10% discount, I'm prepared to sacrifice my inventory in order to get the 10% discount. So it's really, really worthwhile. The Gold House, you'll have needed to do all of the zone achievements, at least the ones for the western part of Solstice, to unlock the house. So keep that in mind. So you do actually have to do, you'll have to do your main quest. And I think probably the quests for the delves and the public dungeon, and maybe whatever side quests as well, in order to get the achievement to unlock the house. So do keep that in mind. You need to get that done before the end of the event starts in the end of June. So
So,
goes for 10 days.
since you brought up the island of Solstice,
I know, I keep saying Solstheim as well in
Yeah.
my head, and I'm going, nope, wrong one.
I called
Too
it
many
I called it
S names.
Solitaire when I was explaining it to my kids. I'm like, no, that's not
Nope,
right.
wrong one.
Uh,
Yep.
So the Wailing Wall global server achievement thing, how are you feeling about that? Are you excited about that?
Yes, I think that's so interesting. I think that's really interesting. So I've jumped on the PTS and gone and looked at the wall. It's huge, and I'm going off extremely hazy memories from Morrowind. What are we talking? 30 years ago now? I don't even know. Oh my god, so long. But the ghost wall that bisects, that goes around the
Yeah.
center volcano, it's the same sort of vibe, and I wonder if we're getting callbacks to that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to whatever the event it is. I hope that's fun.
I
So
know
certainly around Solstice, there's like encampments, and you can see sort of there's NPCs who are starting to sort of get ready to build, siege weaponry and
I was
stuff.
just gonna
It's like,
say,
oh,
Lotus mentioned there's
okay.
siege weapons and stuff involved, and yeah,
Yep, yep. It looks
it sounds really interesting, and hopefully, life schedule wise, I'll be able to jump into it when it releases and actually check it out.
yes. I'm
I
sure it
have,
will go for a decent amount of time, but
yeah,
yeah.
I haven't purchased fresh content since
Mhm.
Greymore.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So talking about
Yeah,
frugalities, my wife and I take turns with ESO Plus.
that's fair.
Whoever's playing
100%
more,
that's fair.
they get ESO Plus. The other person has to mail them all their inventory.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
That really makes sense. So, yep.
Unlike the former hosts of the show that had an affliction of their hearts, which caused them to think that Aldmeri Dominion was the only possible choice, I'm not going to shoehorn anyone into that awful debate, and I'm just going to ask you, what faction do you call home in ESO?
EP for life. Only EP. Only EP. I only have Ebon Heart Pact characters. And that's because I started playing the Elder Scrolls in Morrowind. How could I be anything else? So it's only Ebon Heart Pact.
I before taking over the show, I listened to every single episode of the show, and I laughed at the number of people that were on the show that were like offended when they got asked, "Why is AD the best faction?" And it was just this like hilarious tangent that every single player would go off on, even the ones that play for Blueberry Team. Like it was like nobody wants this question. Why is this a question? And but like in my own episode
Look,
of the show,
Queen Irene's really cool, admittedly. But
yeah,
yeah, Ebon Heart
I
Pact.
I even said like Ebonheart Pack, that's my main, that's my home base, but I actually have two characters for each other faction and only my mains in EP. If you were to pick a singular quest throughout all the games, which one stands out in your mind?
Oh my god. I think Alchemy's quest in Somerset is incredible. It's exquisite. It's just so lovely and thoughtful. And I would say more if we go older. I mean, can I have multiple answers? If we can go older. So as I said earlier, I've only just been going through some of the old zone quests. So I've just redone the Stormhaven and the Sleepers, and just the kind of thought of like somebody coming into your dreams and then making you do and say things that you don't know that you've changed is really creepy in a great way.
Like
And I think that's
Inception,
a
like.
fantastic, fantastic idea of a quest. So there's lots.
There's lots of
Yeah,
amazing
there's
quests
lots.
in all the games, but
Yeah.
Alchemy was the first one that came to your mind, though.
Yeah. Yeah, that quest is incredible. She's such an interesting character, and such an interesting character, also part of such an interesting organization, like the I can't remember the name of the with the masks that they're
Yeah,
wearing. I can't remember the name of the thing. But yeah, just a really, really nice addition to the game, both the person and the actual kind of lore around her as well. So
if you could bring any race or creature from Nirn to Earth, what would it be?
I think I'd have a like a little bantam guar. I think I would like a little pet guar, like just a little one,
Yeah, my
just
wife
as
would
like
love that too.
hanging out. I think a little bantam guar would be, yeah, absolutely. Though if we're talking intelligence, an Alfique, I would just, yeah, like I don't know if I would enjoy looking after an Alfique, because obviously I would have a full person of their own right who's very demanding, but who doesn't have hands and feet and needs somebody to do stuff for them. But I still think they'd be fun.
I think aren't like typically the Elfique most like very magically inclined though. That's how I
They
can't get
are,
around
but
it.
I'm just sort of thinking of somebody like Cyrene is like, are you doing, is she gonna do the stuff for herself? No, I don't think so. I'm sure you would be cooking for her and doing all of the things for her. So yeah,
Our cat of the house is actually named Azabi after the
perfect,
banker. Yeah.
perfect.
I didn't
Yeah,
want a cat, but the trade-off was I got to name it. So I was like, well, then it's going to be named after this one or this one. Is it a male or a female?
Completely.
Now, switch that around. If you were to take something from Earth and place it into Nirn, what would that look like?
Well, funnily enough, this ties back into something we were talking about earlier. Toilets. I would take a toilet.
Toilet
And preferably
manufacturing
plumbing.
facility.
Yeah, just even, I mean, I would settle for just something that looked like a toilet as an object in the game that I could place into a house. In the first time you really see that in the game is in Vardenfell. If you look in, for example, Balmora, under the beds, there's like a convenient shaped
Bedpan?
bucket. That's the that's the first indication within the game as a whole that people need to go to the toilet.
Well,
So,
other than there is a lore book that basically says all the rivers flow to Black Marsh. That's why it's gross.
oh, is that? No, I've missed that lore book. I mean,
Yeah.
also, I mean, there's a bunch of weird things in a whole bunch of dungeons that do absolutely reference bodily functions, but for the characters themselves, yeah, that's the first time I'd noticed it.
What's the biggest moment in gaming you wish you could relive for the first time?
The first time I cleared Veteran Maelstrom Arena, the absolute first time I did that, I literally fell off my chair the first time I achieved that. I had spent, and I am not exaggerating,
That's hilarious.
several years up to that point teaching myself how to get better at combat so that I could clear VMA. I mean, I was stuck in the fourth round, like not the fourth, the ice round for like 2 years, something, and every week I would come back for a session, like a 2 or 3 hour session on stream every time, try and get through that. And just the first time I finished VMA complete, I was the thought of it now still makes me feel both relieved and happy. So yeah, absolutely that.
That's awesome. I think for myself, it's actually probably first time using the galaxy map in Mass Effect, and like actually like I'm in control of this spaceship. That was a big moment in my gaming stuff for sure.
Yeah, Mass Effect, incredible. You know, the thing I did is 'cause Mass Effect was huge in my gaming for me. Just listening to the Mass Effect music in the start screen
Virgil.
is enough to bring me to tears. It's just that music itself. Yeah, the Mass Effect, absolutely.
Either in game or in reality, but like, what's your favorite time of year?
Oh, I like it when it is neither too hot nor too cold. So autumn or spring. I think I prefer autumn. But yeah, like right now, lovely. I am in a t-shirt. My feet are not freezing, and it's not so hot that I need to have the fan on fast, and the computer is heating up the room to be ridiculously uncomfortable. So right now is fine. So
3 days ago, it was 22 degrees out, and 2 days ago, there was 1.5 feet of snow that fell, but it all melted for the most part.
oh my God. Okay.
Spring
Yeah,
in
that is weird.
Alberta is not spring.
Yeah. Yeah.
So May long weekend, the 20th-ish of May should be the last time it
Mm-hmm.
snows, usually is.
Okay, that's late.
It never stays,
feels-
but it almost always snows on. What is your favorite in-game location, though? Any game.
Yeah. On the moon. In Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds? Outer Wilds. Sorry, let's be really clear. Outer Wilds is the best game I've ever played. Full stop. Full
Nice.
stop. Just the best actual game I have ever played in my entire life. I went in a couple of years after it came out, and I did go in blind. I did not know anything about it, apart from people just had said, "Oh, you need to not know about it." So I'd made sure I hadn't been spoiled, because I thought, "Oh, this sounds interesting. I might play that one day," and it was incredible. It is incredible. It is oh my God. Everybody should play Outer Wilds. You should absolutely play Outer Wilds.
One more for funsies question. What is your least favorite gaming experience?
Oh. Banishran Hollow in ESO. Oh, I can clear it. I can clear that. I've done that on Vet. It is the most painful experience. Oh, I hate it as much. In fact, I hate it more than I used to hate VMA, because it's just like I can do VMA. I know I'm good enough to do this stuff, and I can just like it's weird, like
I can see the pain on your
stress
face.
response. I get this stress response going in there. It's like, oh no, oh no. Anyway, that is something that I will need to overcome properly, and I just want to be able to just be able to do it, clear it the same way I can do VMA, and it is not the same, and I just maybe after update 46 drops, and I'm running a subclassed warden build, and then we'll see.
So before I jump into post-interview stuff with you, Icy, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to join me on this first recording and dealing with all the scamps at the start of it. And would you just let the listeners know how they can find you if they want to get into your community?
Absolutely. You can find me at twitch.tv/ICYIC, where I stream the Elder Scrolls Online 4 days a week. And I would love to see you over there. I'm on the ESO stream team, so I often have giveaways, thanks to ZeniMax Online and Bethesda ANZ. And you can find me by searching for Hullo with a U, it's Icy, on pretty most of the socials. But I do have to say, I am not really present on them. I am attempting to retrain my attention span by not doing social media right now. So I do post going lives and other things that I find interesting. You can mostly find me on, or you can find my content, I should say, also on YouTube at youtube.com/Hulloitsicy. So, and that's got all of my ESO type stuff, occasionally other games, but mostly, ESO housing things about the new content that is coming up, occasional house tours, that kind of thing.
So thanks to everybody else for tuning into the show. I hope you like my first kick at the cat. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to let other people know and give it a review wherever you're listening. Rating and reviewing the show is what makes it so people can find it. So I would really appreciate that. You can also give us a review over at the Bonus Roll podcast directory, bonusroll.gg/directory. And if you want to get in touch with the show, you can find us on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube with @10th Divine Podcast. You can email me at 10thdivinepodcast@gmail.com. And you can find me specifically with @Crown ESO, ESS0 in all those places, as well as on Twitch. Sometimes it happens. If you'd like to support the show right now, the option is to go over to ko-fi.com/thepiercefamily, PEARCE. And we'll be back in a fortnight with another lovely chat about Elder Scrolls. Tot scenes.